and the condition is that this particle is dropping, this particle of mass m is dropping from a particular height h. Whenever a particle is dropping or whenever a particle is dropped from a particular height, the thing is that the initial velocity u is equal to 0. You all know that the initial velocity concept, final velocity, acceleration, then acceleration, retardation, again negative acceleration is also called a retardation. You all studied in the chapter motion. So here, if a particle is dropped from a particular height, the initial velocity of the particle is 0 and the particle reaches the ground. If there will be no initial velocity, how will they reach the ground? So then we think about, is there any acceleration acting on the body? So here, if the particle is dropping from a particular height, the initial velocity of the particle u is equal to 0. But the thing is that there is an acceleration experienced on the body or the particle. That acceleration is called acceleration due to gravity. So these two topics we have to combine these two topics, free fall and acceleration due to gravity. How will we relating free fall and acceleration due to gravity? If a particle is dropped from a particular height with an initial velocity 0, that particle is said to be in free fall. I will write. If a particle is dropped from a particular height, so what is the clue in this statement? That particle is dropped. Whenever a particle is dropped, the condition is that the initial velocity u is equal to 0. Initial velocity u is equal to 0. If a particle is thrown from a particular height, then there will be initial velocity, that is u not equal to 0. But if a particle is dropped like this, then we have to say that the initial velocity of the particle is equal to 0. The initial velocity of the particle is 0. So this is said to be free fall. If a particle is dropped from a particular height, then that particle is said to be in free fall. That particle is said to be in free fall. Why that particle is said to be in free fall? Because the initial velocity of the particle is 0. And the thing is that how that particle reaches the ground. Is there any acceleration acting on the body? Yes. If in this case, there is an acceleration acting on the body. That acceleration is called acceleration due to gravity. So there is an influence of acceleration on the body, and that acceleration is called acceleration due to gravity. But the thing is that the initial velocity of the particle is 0. So the thing is that if a particle is dropped from a particular height and the initial velocity of the particle is 0, then the particle is said to be in free fall. In the case of free fall, there is an acceleration acting on the body, and that acceleration is called acceleration due to gravity. So what is free fall? If a particle is dropped from a particular height, or otherwise we can say that if a particle is moving with an initial velocity 0 and then it is moved under the influence of gravity alone, then it is moved. Another definition we can write. If a particle is moving with u is equal to 0, that is initial velocity is 0, and it is moved under the influence of acceleration due to gravity, g, then we can say that the particle is in free fall. So particularly it is states that when a particle is dropped from a particular height, then it is moved under the influence of acceleration due to gravity alone, then that particle is said to be in free fall. These two are the condition, not these two, this is same as that this one. So what is free fall? If a particle is dropped from a particular height, that means the initial velocity of the particle is 0, then that particle is said to be in free fall. What all the acceleration acting on the case of free fall? The only acceleration acting in the case of free fall is that acceleration due to gravity. So we need to discuss about what is meant by acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity. We need a definition. The acceleration experienced on a freely falling body. The acceleration experienced on a freely falling body. What body? Freely falling body. The acceleration experienced on a freely falling body due to the gravitational pull of earth. Gravitational pull of earth. The acceleration experienced on a freely falling body due to the gravitational pull of earth is called acceleration due to gravity g. Is called acceleration due to gravity g. The important thing is that the acceleration experienced on what type of bodies? The acceleration experienced on freely falling body. What is the peculiarity of freely falling body? The initial velocity of the body is equal to 0 and that body is dropped from a particular height. If that body is dropped from a particular height, the initial velocity is 0. If the same body is thrown from a particular height, the initial velocity not equal to 0. Okay. So the acceleration experienced on a freely falling body due to the gravitational pull of earth. That means earth attract all the object towards the center of the earth. Earth attract all the object towards the center of the earth. More simply, that force is also called a gravitational force. Okay. So the acceleration experienced on a freely falling body. What body? Freely falling body due to the gravitational pull of earth. Earth attract all the object towards the center of the earth. Due to the gravitational pull of earth is called acceleration due to gravity g. Acceleration due to gravity g. This is acceleration due to gravity. So what is free fall? If a body is dropped from a particular height and the if the body is dropped from a particular height and it is moved under the influence of acceleration due to gravity alone, then the body is said to be in free fall. And the acceleration experienced on a freely falling body due to the gravitational pull of earth is called acceleration due to gravity g. Now we want to check another thing